So you want to make a game, and for whatever reason you chose Unreal Engine, perhaps the best engine to learn in my opinion. But there's a problem. A quick search leads you down this rabbit hole of confusion. Where do I start? Do I learn Lumen, Nanite, post-processing?
Camera cinematics, animation state machines, input systems.
What?
Okay, let's see what the all-powerful YouTube has. 5 hours of beginner tutorials? Let me save you real quick before you dive down that rabbit hole. Hey, I'm Cody. I'm starting my Unreal Engine 5 journey, and in this video I'm taking you with me. I've been making games since I was a kid, but the Unreal Engine is fairly new to me. I've been interested in Unreal Engine for quite some time now, and after finding out that tech artist exists as a career path, I was all in. Now, a tech artist's path and making a game are both very different, but it all comes back to one thing. Where do I start learning Unreal Engine? It depends. Let me explain. Unreal Engine is used for a lot of different stuff. Interior architecture, simulation training, The Mandalorian filmed in it, even NASA uses it. Obviously, making a game is vastly different than staging lighting for a product in a commercial setting. So even though this video is focusing on a game dev journey, you can still use these insights to start learning no matter what your end goal in Unreal is. Overwhelming start. First, I want to talk about the dreaded tutorial hell and a story. When I was about 8, I played Digimon World on PlayStation and I didn't like how it was designed. Though I didn't know what a design document was at the time, I did what made sense to me. I wrote a huge design document explaining how my version of the game would work, and I mailed it to Sony because Sony was the only logo I saw, on the game, Sony PlayStation. Yeah, I probably should have sent it to Bandai instead. They wrote back with a polite dismissal wishing me luck on my school project. Cool that they wrote back, but I was so offended that I started looking into game development colleges, despite being 10 years away from attending one. Instead of waiting, I just started teaching myself online. Now, the online days back then were vastly different than today, as some of you know. This was back in 2000, so I had the luxury of not being overstimulated with the internet and with YouTube and tutorial hell. Back then, the game community was tightly knit. We made projects and games, and we released them open source because that's just how it was. Nothing like it is today, where projects are gatekept, or they die without being open sourced, etc. I learned by reverse engineering simple projects and source code, all the way up to entire complex games. I not only learned extremely fast, but I retained that information and I was able to create anything I wanted. Fast forward to today, and we have an infinite number of free tutorials for literally anything in the world. These are great, don't get me wrong, they serve their purpose, but it's all too easy to get stuck down a rabbit hole, to solely, unconsciously depend on tutorials. I did this for a while, even though my roots laid in reverse engineering. One day, I finished a tutorial in Unity. Just out of curiosity, I challenged myself to remake what I just learned from scratch without the tutorial. I couldn't do it. And that was my moment of awakening. I still see people stuck in this mindset. One of my friends had recently watched a 30-minute tutorial dozen times because something in it didn't work. He copied it exactly, over and over. Because blindly following a tutorial doesn't strengthen your critical thinking abilities, not only was he completely stumped, but he was about to give up. And it was only until he Frankensteined another similar tutorial together that his game started to work again. He still had no idea, but he still had a sense of accomplishment. I felt bad for him. Don't be this person. Let me tell you, it was hard to get out of tutorial hell. I didn't want to go down this path with Unreal Engine, so the first thing I did was stop randomly clicking tutorials. Instead, I've made a structured plan. Here's what I'm focusing on. Number 1, familiarizing myself with the interface, getting comfortable navigating the viewport, understanding panels, and knowing where things are. 2, learning basic object manipulation, moving, rotating, scaling, snapping even. You don't have to do that. Stuff that forms the foundation of any Unreal Engine project. 3, a basic understanding of materials and maybe lighting, because it pains me to say this with how cool Unreal Engine can look with Lumen and Nanite and all that. Don't focus too heavily on visuals and lighting in the beginning. This is not only its own complete rabbit hole, but a complete profession in itself. Me wanting to be a tech artist, I'll have to master this, but for just starting out, don't worry about it. 4, dipping into blueprints, but only the basics. Blueprints can get complex extremely fast. Try to do simple things like triggering an animation, opening a door, not full-blown AI systems or procedural generation. Last thing is make small projects. I'm not trying to build an entire open RPG right away. Simple things like a basic interactive environment help keep the learning process fun and manageable. Use tutorials to learn the basics first. Instead of jumping between random tutorials, I found a few resources that actually helped with a smoother learning curve. Official Unreal Engine docs and YouTube channel. The best place for absolute fundamentals, but be careful because you can get down rabbit holes in these as well very easily. Beginner-friendly YouTubers. Some creators break things down in a way that actually makes sense. I'll link my favorites in the description. The Epic Games Marketplace free assets. This one I was against for a while because I believe that I should program my own stuff. Now, before you fight me in the comments, I'm not saying blindly rip assets and throw them into your game and use them and not have any desire to even know how they work. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you don't have to know how every single thing works when you're starting out because it can get very overwhelming very fast. Which brings me into my next point and my last point. Keep it fun and avoiding burnout. So one of the biggest things I realized is that if I only follow tutorials, I don't retain much. Tutorials are okay to learn from, but my biggest tip in this video is to branch out on your own while doing tutorials. As you're following a tutorial, pause it and try something different. Change the settings that they're telling you to put. Make it do something a little bit different but similar to the tutorial so it's not completely out of your comfort zone. Challenge yourself. If you blindly follow its tutorial, you aren't really learning the material. Keeping it fun is key. With all that said, my recommendations for learning Unreal Engine and starting is number 1, get ALS, Advanced Locomotion System, from the marketplace so you can have a character locomotion system ready to go. You don't have to make it from scratch, which, trust me, I've tried and done, and it's very complicated for a beginner. Get it so you can have a character to run around in the world. It's fun also to be able to directly see and play a game that you just loaded up. 2, start world building. Don't do what I did and go into an endless rabbit hole of learning the modeling tools, the cube grid, which although cube grid's fairly easy, and I recommend that. Modeling tools, prefabs, marketplace assets for level building, importing scenes from Blender. It was too complicated. Don't do what I did. Just literally throw some blocks in the world. Get something. Keep it fun. Seeing your progress will keep you motivated and continue your learning journey. After you have a little world, start playing with sound triggers. Start playing with, like, for example, I did this skylight breaking. That was easy. It took me 30 minutes. I had no idea what I was doing. Just learn small. Keep it small, but keep it fun, and you'll stay motivated to keep and continue learning. Also, I'm not rushing. Learning Unreal Engine takes time. It's a huge engine used across multiple industries, and instead of stressing myself out, I'm enjoying the small wins along the way. So that's how I'm starting my Unreal Engine 5 journey without getting completely lost. Here's my challenge to you. Pick something slightly above your comfort level and try to create it in Unreal. If you're an absolute beginner, create an alleyway with some buildings around. This will get you used to placing objects and navigating Unreal Engine. Create a trigger when you walk into it that will play a sound. Too easy? Try doing that without using your level blueprint. Be creative, think, and challenge yourself. I don't know your specific skill level, so you'll have to be creative in coming up with something to make. And let me know in the comments what you ended up making, if you're stuck or what you struggle with the most. If this video helped clear up some confusion, hit that like button, and if you want to see more of my Unreal journey, consider subscribing. Thanks.